Our next speakers will be Christopher Patrick, who's the Regional Sales Director for Flash, along with John Isaacs, the Vice President of Flash and Healthcare. Welcome and thank you.
Hello, everybody. See a lot of familiar faces in the crowd, so just want to thank everybody for letting us be here today. For those of you who do not know me, again, my name is Chris Patrick, Regional Sales Director of Flash. Again, we're not only really excited to be here, not just to take part in another great event being thrown by the NYSPTA, but also to take part in educating you guys more about Flash. So, whether referring to parking, transportation, or mobility, technology is constantly evolving. For many of us in this room, we've seen our industry technology migrate from things like walk-up meters, handheld tickets, manned operations, to really a much more automated and digitalized experience, really being fueled by things such as this. So, who is Flash? Many are referring to us as the all-in-one parking platform of the future. So whether it's on-street, off-street, gated, ungated, EV charging, or fleet management, we really do it all. We're building the infrastructure for the future of mobility, which really connects an entire ecosystem of parking and mobility assets directly to the demand of its end users. So now to talk more in depth about Flash and all the different solutions that we provide, I'm really excited to introduce John Isaacs, Flash's VP of Healthcare. John.
Speaking of platforms, I broke the AV platform trying to swap the laptop in here, so let's see if this works. Does this work? All right. How's everybody doing? Good. Who played golf today?
We did bowling instead.
Okay, good idea. So, thanks for having us. Really thrilled to be here. I am Italian, so when I talk, I move a lot with my hands and I walk a lot, so I'm going to apologize in advance, but you will have to track me across the room. So we're going to talk about the platform of the future and why that's important in the world of parking. A little bit about myself. So I did not grow up in the parking industry. I actually worked in the healthcare technology industry for a long, long time. I worked at Dell, where we had a $3.5 billion healthcare business. If you were a little doctor's office in Cape Cod, we were probably putting in machines. If you were calling the Epic help desk at Stanford Medical Center, we were the ones answering the phone. And I've had a lot of experience with hospitals helping them adopt technology to solve problems. And so when the opportunity came to Flash, I got really excited because what's the first thing that someone sees when they go to a hospital, right? They see the parking deck. That's their first customer experience at your facility. So I'm like, this is going to be great. I'm going to extend my envelope of helping people adopt technology to solve problems. But I had this naive conception of what parking was going to be like, right? From my childhood in like 1978. I thought it was going to be fun, everything was going to work, right? And it was great. And what I learned, much to my chagrin, when I started tackling real world problems with folks like Chris, is that Fisher-Price lied. They lied like a dog. I learned things like there are not enough spots for all the cars when they have to go in the garage. I learned that all the gates do not, in fact, go up and down like they're supposed to. I even learned that a steep exit ramp is bad. I was at a hospital, so I have to, for all my stories start with, I was at a hospital. I was at a hospital in Oregon, and I was talking with the parking director, and he was explaining to me, we're across the Sky Bridge from the Children's Hospital. He's explaining to me how they moved the discharge area to pick up patients from the down ramp to the up ramp because the up ramp had less slope. Apparently, there were too many situations where somebody kind of wheels the bassinet out and they turn to open their tailgate and they turn back and the bassinet's not there anymore. It goes all the way down to the bottom. To which I said, well, at least you're already at the hospital. And so I have to warn you, some of my other stories end with, and then they threw me out. So I'm just kidding, but I learned that this was not as simple as I thought it was going to be, and that parking can actually be hard. Okay, so I'm going to talk about some of the things that are happening right now in the parking industry and just the mobility ecosystem in general. They're not going to be surprises to you. Maybe some of the numbers I show you will be surprising. But they're important to understand, because if we're going to talk about a platform, number one question is, who cares? So what? Why? Why do I even care what a platform is? How can it help me? I have a job to do, right? So let's go kind of through sort of some recent history here, okay? Number one, the parking market is changing. There's a lot going on that we didn't have to deal with years and years ago. So think about this. 15 years ago, no such thing as an iPhone, right? 10 years ago, ride sharing like Uber and Lyft and stuff like that, kind of a new idea. 5 years ago, telework, maybe this sort of fringe thing if you're a sales guy, right? You work out of your house. Everyone still goes to an office. So even like 2.5 years ago, COVID was sort of in its infancy. We didn't really understand the implications of what that was going to do to us and society and our economy, right? So there's all this stuff changing, right, that we didn't have to deal with before when we're doing parking solutions, helping people get in and out. The impact is significant. So look at some of these numbers. 73% of people now don't want to go back to an office environment, right? Crazy. Even if they are going, they don't want to go full time, right? So now you're having to deal with hybrid work arrangements, stuff like that. And if you try to force the issue, they say no. Maybe even present a special finger. It's really interesting what the reaction has been to trying to get things back to what was previously viewed as normalcy, okay? Ride shares. So I used to fly a lot. I'd fly in, I'd rent a car. I'd drive to where I need to go. I flew in last night, I got an Uber, right? People's travel patterns are changing. They're not picking up cars, they're not parking where they used to. 41% of those rideshare miles that the Uber and Lyft drivers are clocking have no one in the car. They're orbiting, looking for their next person. Just think about what that's doing to a municipal environment, a city environment, raising emissions that people are going to have to breathe, traffic congestion, right? Tying everything up. We didn't have to deal with these problems to this level. Digital payments. Who here has bought something off of Amazon? I think my family has single-handedly funded like 10% of Amazon's stock price over the past couple of years. People are used to buying stuff digitally with their phones, online. A friend of mine, I don't advocate for this with sort of how you run your family. A friend of mine has two teenage kids. If they don't like what's for dinner, they just leave the table. 45 minutes later, someone's knocking on the door with a pizza, right? They just bought it with their phone. And so people are expecting this. Again, I go to hospitals, and it's weird like how advanced they are in some areas and backwards they are in others. There's a joke that you can do things with your phone at a Starbucks and a Trader Joe's that you can't do at the world's leading academic medical centers that are going to cut you open and like get rid of cancer. So all this stuff is here now, and it's not going back, okay? But wait, there's more. Think about delivery apps, right? I gave you my Uber Eats story, right? 33% to $57 billion. People ordering food to deliver it to you. So what does that mean from parking? It means I don't drive to the restaurant anymore. I just have the restaurant come to me, right? Think about the implications of that, of what parking assets you need to have in a venue, right, for people to go to. EVs. Does anyone here drive an electric vehicle? All right, there's more coming. There's 7 million now. You've seen all the statements from the big automakers, right? They're going to go all EV, whether you believe that or not, or how long that takes, right? It's more coming. I told you about my Uber driver. So where was I last week? Last week, my Uber driver picked me up in a Tesla. I'm like, this is different than the duct tape kind of Toyota Corolla that I normally get. Pretty nice. So what's your routine look like? And he explained to me what he does every morning. He gets up at 5. He goes to the supercharging station, he eats his breakfast, he watches Netflix, and an hour later he's ready to start his day. I found that fascinating. He doesn't have a house. He doesn't have a garage. He can't put a Tesla charger in his garage. So think about the implications to you, right? When you're running parking operations or garages or you're managing a facility, what you have to do from an EV charging perspective to deal with this demand. Parking reservations. We've all seen what happens, right, when people don't plan ahead. They go downtown to a place they don't know and they hunt. I'm famously guilty for this, right? How about this garage? It's kind of expensive. Keep driving. This one, I think we can get closer, right? A little bit more. $1.4 billion in just a couple years being spent on parking reservations? It's crazy. So, what do you do to field all this, right? Because all this stuff's coming, all this stuff's changed. You're trying to run a parking operation. You're trying to give a good customer experience. What do? I know what you do. You try to keep the lights on a lot of times, right? Sometimes that is cannibalizing parts. I was at a venue, a sporting venue, up here in the Northeast not too long ago. It was during COVID, so they could get away with this, but they were taking parts out of kiosks in lesser used lanes and moving them to the primary lanes to keep equipment functional, because they couldn't get parts, because the supply chain was all jacked up, right? Even now, there's a competitor of ours who sent out a communication, last time buy on gates, right? Minimum quantity 10. So what's going to happen with that supply, right? You are in a situation where if you can't get stuff that wears out and needs to be replaced, right, you're going to be in a pinch. That's not all you're doing, right? Who in here has equipment that is maybe like 15 years old? Don't lie, I know, I've seen it. You're trying to make it still work, right? So let me introduce you to my little friend here. So this is a Dell Inspiron 600M, otherwise known as a 15-year-old laptop. It is very thin, right? It's very light. It has a very powerful operating system on here called Windows XP. Can you make this PCI compliant? Can you make other applications like Spot Hero talk to this? So the answer is you can if you have a lot of money, right? In fact, if you have a lot of money and slave labor, you too can have a pyramid. But it's really expensive to do. A colleague of mine, a friend of mine, founded a software development company. And his company is responsible for building the reservation software of my favorite off-airport parking in Austin, Texas, where I live. And I've had conversations with him about what that experience is like. So they have a $180,000 annual budget, I think, to go towards this platform. 2/3 of it just goes to make the plumbing work. So he was complaining to me, they never get a chance to like make a better reservation experience or build an upsell engine to like sell car washes and valet and stuff like that. It's always a fight because the inside of the cabinets is this. It's tough. I know what you guys are dealing with. I feel for you. So what do? You throw people at it, right? That's okay. The gate doesn't go up in the exit lane. That's fine. We'll just have somebody there as a cashier, right? How hard is that to do now? I think Robert left. He and I were at an event the other week, and there was a sidebar discussion that broke out about the arms race of having to raise wages because they couldn't get people, right? Like, how much are you charging? 17, 19? There was, so I was at a hospital. I was talking with a parking director at a big health system in the Great Lakes area. He used to have 90 people in his parking department before COVID. He's got 30 now. He's not getting them back. So even the age-old, kind of catch-all of I'm going to throw bodies at it just to hold everything together, that's been problematic, right? So you're not in an enviable position, right? You've got stuff where you've got pressures on one side. I think that's what flame sounds like. You get the idea. You're caught in the middle between a rock and a hard place. You've got the old way of doing parking, right? You've got point solutions designed 30 years ago trying to meet new needs that are coming from an evolving marketplace because it's not a static world and people do weird things, right? So how do you deal with that? All right, so this is where I'm going to pivot a little bit. Solved. This is where I'm going to pivot a little bit to what a platform can do, okay? I'm going to define this a little bit because I found in my travels, right, that what a platform is defined by varies from person to person. And I'm going to share that this is not always the right answer for everybody. You know, I'm going to go through some examples of how Flash has approached this. This is not meant to be a Flash commercial. It's really more to talk about there's a new paradigm of how you can approach fielding evolving needs as they come towards you, okay? All right, so let's start with the definition of a platform. I was trying to figure out how to do this. Kendra, right?
Yes.
How would you define a platform?
Oh my gosh. Okay. Basically the foundation for everything that you're trying to do.
Okay, good. No, he's passed, okay. Chris Patrick.
Do you really want me to answer that question? I feel like that's cheating.
Okay, I'll skip you.
It's gotta be better than my answers.
I'll just do one or two.
What to say, you know what I mean?
I
And
think
that-
it's a suite of applications that you use to accomplish a collective goal.
Okay, I like that answer. Okay, we'll stop there. That's a pretty good answer. Okay. Gartner defines it as a product that serves or enables other products and services. Okay. Yes, absolutely, absolutely. I was trying to think of a graphic to sort of capture this. This is the best I could do. Sorry. I was thinking about high dive, right? So it's sturdy, right? A big foundation, right? That's not going to go anywhere versus like the little springboard kind of down on the side. Elevated, right? So you can do more from an elevated platform with your diving repertoire than you can at a springboard. The triple Lindy, right? You need the top platform. Anyone know what that's from? Okay. Interoperable. Doesn't matter if you're a man, a woman, what country you're from. You can do your dives. It lets people come in and on. Afraid, because I'm a big chicken. I wouldn't get on that. Platforms can be scary to people because it's different than what people are used to doing. Okay. So let me go through how Flash tackled this. We started with this idea that we need a common foundation through which to run everything, and that would make our lives easier in the future. Okay. So the way we approached this was we built a cloud software layer. We run it in Microsoft Azure. It's multi-tenant, which means that you can do load balancing and failover in case one of the nodes goes down, or you have to update it. You can update it without taking someone down. We back everything up, we encrypt everything in it, and it allows you to do remote monitoring and management over a single pane of glass. Okay, very, very interesting, John. That's nice. What does that mean? Okay. So this idea of having a foundation, right, with things that you bolt on top of it is exactly right. So we refer to those as nodes, right? You can think of them as Lego bricks. You can add them when you need them, you can take them off when you don't, and you can flex them as needs evolve. So our nodes consist of things like if you're in a parking context, right, you're in a gated garage, maybe you have gates, or maybe you open lots, you're looking for an ungated solution. Maybe you have a valet need, right? Those are all nodes to our system. And then we do other things that we call extensions, but they're still nodes. You need EV charging? No problem. We got that. You want to do cameras for LPR? No problem. You need enforcement? No problem. You need a recommendation engine or reservation engine? No problem. And so what this paradigm has allowed us to do is to make it very simple to flex to upcoming needs as the market changes, okay? So I'm going to take you through a couple real-world examples of stuff that we've done, that we've been able to help clients monetize their situations. Again, not meant to be a commercial, just meant to be illustrative of what this type of thinking can do, right, when you're trying to field fastballs thrown at your head, okay? So we'll start really small, all right? If you have a garage and you have gates, you probably have an entry kiosk and an exit kiosk. One spits a ticket, one reads a ticket, right? So we have that too. Inside each cabinet, we have very modular components. And we did that on purpose because each of these components is just a node. If something fails because I was at a hospital and people are shoving coins in the credit card slot, right? You just pop it out with a screwdriver, you put the new one in, and you plug it in the USB hub, and the software tells it what to do because the platform governs all the activities, okay? If you need to upgrade technology, say there's a new flat screen that came out that's more sensitive or better color or better resolution or whatever, no big deal. You pop out the old one, you put the new one in. 4 screws and you plug it in. So we approach this as a way to protect your investment, right? Stuff's gonna happen, new things are gonna come along. This gives you the capability of not having to rip out everything, because again, I go to hospitals and they're like, we bought this 4 years ago, it never really worked as intended, that's why we're buying it again. Please put in your response how I'm not gonna have to do this in another 4 years, right? Well, we have an answer, right? If you've got a platform, you can upgrade pieces as they kind of go obsolete. It also, incidentally, the way we did this, we used off-the-shelf parts. So it really helped from a supply standpoint. If some supplier is locked up or doesn't have supply, we can get another part and just certify it in our lab and put it in. Okay? So that's a pretty down-to-earth example. Let's go bigger. Let's talk about software. I picked the wrong graphics, man, for this, this slideshow. All right, enterprise software. That gray layer is it me? That gray layer that everything runs through, right, is the software layer. So what can you do with that? Again, the parts in a cabinet are nodes, but then so are the garages and all the lots and stuff like that you add. So at the Texas Medical Center, largest medical city in the world, 60 membership institutions, 10 million patients a year, 300,000 transients a month, 100,000 employees. So Texas Medical Center, really big medical city, Houston, Texas, really big, complicated operation. So they use our stuff, okay? In COVID, they had an interesting problem. So they had all their elective procedures going away because people stopped going to the hospital, right? Meanwhile, they had all their shifts stepping on each other because people were working overtime and that shift hadn't left, and then the new shift came in, and not only were there no parking spots, they couldn't even get in the garage, right? And so because it's a platform and everything's just a node, they were able to get creative about how they approach this problem. They're like, look, I'm just gonna move these monthly contracts from my patient garage over to the underutilized visitor garage, and they did it with a drop list, right? Because it's just a platform with nodes attached to it. It doesn't care. So it was a really creative solution that, you know, it's interesting, again, the same thing that Robert and I were at the other week. We were talking about parking as a retention vehicle for employees and how important that's become. This was before like providers started really burning out in healthcare environments, but ended up being really important to holding on to all those doctors and nurses. Okay, so you got a cabinet, you got some software. Let's go up even more, okay? So that was dealing with employees stepping on each other, right? So a lot of cases, you're gonna have not enough parking for your employee population. I was at a hospital, this one was Cedars-Sinai in LA. They have that problem, right? They have 25, 30,000 employees, vendors, contractors, not enough parking for that. So they use vehicles to try to encourage people to find alternate modes of transportation with commuter benefit programs and things that they can win and stuff like that. So I was going to talk about them, but then I realized I have a better one, which is Amazon. They're really, really big. So Amazon has this problem where they have people that might come into work, they don't know when. If they do all come in, they don't have enough parking. So how are they going to handle that? And so they ended up working with us and Loom, which is a commuter benefits platform, to put together a common digital experience no matter where it had to flex. So if I'm an employee at Amazon, I can go to the Washington campus, I can park at a garage there. I don't have to do it every day. I can just kind of do it when I need to. If it's full, I can expand to neighboring garages that are on the network that are not owned by Amazon. It's the same exact experience on the phone. And then I can get my payroll deduction based on consumption because it just collects what it is that I use and flows it over to payroll and benefits. It's easy to do because it's a platform and it's just another node. In this case, the node is a third-party node called Loom. No big deal. We built a platform that can pull all those other things in and harmonize into a common experience, okay? Let's go even bigger. That's for employees. What about the people that are coming to your garage that aren't your employees and then want to buy stuff? So again, I go to hospitals, right? Hospitals have pay stations everywhere. Do you like pay stations?
No,
Why not?
because it requires them to go somewhere. It's usually not close to their car or then where they're entering or exiting or anything.
That's right. And when they go to the one that doesn't work, what happens?
And
They go to the next one.
Where we have somebody.
That's right. So I was at a hospital last week, and they're a self-operated entity, and so that means that the security department is in charge of parking, and it means that their pay-on-foot fixer is Tony the security guard. This poor guy, 65 years old, he's about to retire, and he's getting this sort of stuff. And so it was the typical things that you would imagine, right? Somebody says, well, I paid for my parking and I didn't get my change back. So he's like looking at security footage and all kinds of stuff like this to see what he's got to do. So why are we going to do that in this day and age? I'm going to use a prop. I'm going to pivot here. When you have a pay station in your pocket at all times, right? So what we did is we built this thing called digital ticket checkout, right?
Oh, it's there.
So the whole idea here was how can we provide options, right? So people don't have to go to a physical pay station to pay for their ticket. Now, I'll tell you one thing. People do not want more apps on their phone. It might be because they just hate apps, it might be because they have too many, or it might be like my daughter, she has too many cat photos and there's just no storage left. So we had to approach this from a perspective where you don't have to download an app. So we use what's called an app clip. Okay, it's built-in functionality into your mobile operating system. So all someone has to do this, they pull the ticket, they scan the QR code, they scan a sign with a QR code, and they can use what's on their phone. Apple Pay, Google Pay, credit card saved. And then it's all paid for. They just go out, they flash the QR code at the gate, and they leave. Piece of cake. Great total cost of ownership because you're not spending so much money on a giant cabinet and then a bill recycler and then maybe a coin box and then having people have to go fix that when it's not working or take the money out of it and worry about security. It also de-anonymizes parkers because now we know who you are because you did a transaction through your phone because your phone's just another node. Piece of cake, right? It's a transactional node. It's here and it's there. It goes through this dynamo engine that we built called digital ticket checkout. But it's just another node on the platform, right? Albeit a digital one. And so if you wanted to send someone a survey, how did you find our parking garage? Would you return? You can do stuff like that. If you want to give them a coupon or something, you can reach out to them. You've de-anonymized that person that otherwise would have just paid cash and been gone forever. All right, let's go even bigger. Digital reservations. So I haven't even gotten to your place yet to pay. Now I'm just going to try to figure out where it is that I'm going to go, all right? So booking a place to park online is not like that unique anymore, right? So everybody heard of Spot Hero? Yes, okay. Silence means yes, right? A friend of mine, before I even came to Flash, was telling me about Spot Hero. He works at a technology company in Chicago. And he was telling me he loves Spot Hero because he can decide, am I going to be cheap today and park far away and then walk to the office at Merchandise Mart? Or is it raining, like today? And I'm going to pay an extra $5 and I'll park closer. And so it was this great thing, but it's encapsulated into this application, right? And so what we have been able to do is not only have a platform talk to that, but we've also been able to provide options where you can white label that experience yourself rather than have it be under the vendor. So City of Sacramento, I don't know if you can see this, it's kind of small, Sac Park. They have a website, right? Chamber of Commerce, like you want to go see museums or go see whatever. They own a couple municipal garages. They're underutilized. They're trying to drive traffic to those versus like a private operation that you might run. And they're trying to do other things as well, right? They're worried about health. So they're trying to cut down people orbiting looking for parking. They want to reduce emissions. They want to drive that asset utilization up. So we have a widget. They just put it on their website, and it ports out all the heavy lifting around this reservation process into that platform because it's just another node. Piece of cake. Okay? So again, hopefully you guys are getting the theme here, right? Having a platform where you just stack on the Lego bricks to what you need when you need them really opens up your ability to be flexible when stuff's coming at you from a changing market. I'll go one better. Who here likes concerts? Anyone go to concert? I saw, or my wife told me that Journey is touring again in Buffalo, actually, March 16th. So apparently I'm going to a Journey concert. Ticketmaster, if I go buy my tickets on Ticketmaster to go to a concert, you start seeing stuff like this, parking. Hey, would you like to buy your parking as part of that ticket at a garage that's actually close to the venue versus what you know you're going to get stuck with? You're going to be way over there, and it's going to be raining, it's going to suck, right? This is us. Because we have a platform where you just attach nodes, we were able to expose Ticketmaster utilizing that same reservation engine to put it into their workflow experience. So now you're harmonizing that customer experience of somebody going to see whatever, Journey, Taylor Swift, whatever you're into, with this complete package, right? So they're getting a holistic experience. In addition to that, so do you think that Ticketmaster wanted to build the back end to add parking to this? No, they just want to take their fee, right? So we were able to build in functionality where they can do that. Now, how much they do that is up to them, right? But if you are an operator of a venue, or you're trying to figure out like, hey, what are additional ways to make money, right? Within reason, you can add fees and stuff like that as part of service and handling for this additional service. All right. But there's more. Okay, I bought a reservation. How do I make sure I get there? Because I didn't know about that construction on I-95. Or I didn't know that there was a wreck because it was raining, right? So again, we have these powerful computers that we carry everywhere we go, right? We are able to port that information and leverage what's on that phone, because the phone is just another node that the platform can talk to as well. So now we're getting into wayfinding, right? If you have a reservation, I can tie it into your mobile device. I can push you a message that says traffic is heavy, leave now. I can help you route the best way to get there. I can make it all digital and touchless. And I can make sure that you paid for it digitally if you prefer. So I was at a hospital. We were standing in this lot, and there's another lot across the way. And this lady drives up, and she rolls down her window at the kiosk and just stares at us, because I guess that's what you do when you see four dudes wearing sport coats, standing in a garage. And so the guy who's with us is also the security director. He turns to her and says, "Can I help you, ma'am?" And she says, "Is this where I park?" And he's like, "Well, where are you trying to go? Are you going to the emergency room? Are you going to the physician appointment?" A physician appointment. He's like, "Oh, okay. Well, normally you'd park over there," and he points to the other lot. "But it's okay to park here. You just, you have further to walk, but just pull in here, and when you pay, when you exit, no big deal." Okay. So then we got into a conversation about this, because most hospitals have like this color-coded PDF map of this giant campus, right? Oncology, you go here, orthopedics go there, right? And you're supposed to figure that out. And when you actually get to the campus and you're looking around, you're like, this doesn't look like the little PDF. You get lost. You park in the wrong place. So we're talking about this, like, look, it's not that hard to say, look, you're going to oncology, that's the green lot. You're going to orthopedics, that's the yellow lot. And I can route you there. So back to EV cars, more of them are, or a lot of them are here, more of them are coming. Right? Same type of thing. You're talking about exposing your platform to provide that holistic experience for a parker and what they need, right? So I gave you my Uber driver with the Tesla story. Now look at that through the lens of a platform, right? I've shown you how you can reserve things, pay for them digitally, how I can push messages to you. I can do that here too, because it's the same technology being turned into a different node, right? So now if you want to charge your Tesla or your Volt or whatever, right, you reserve time beforehand, because that's what you do with parking. It's all a simplified experience, which I think the screenshots are sort of cycling through. We'll push you a message when it's complete, right? This is a joke I have with hospitals all the time, right? Are you going to go tell the surgeon to move his car because it's now fully charged? No, you're not. And then you can manage this all through a single pane of glass, right? Because back to that gray bar at that pyramid, it's all platform with a holistic view of all the things that are running through it, okay? All right. We're not done, because the world's not done changing. It's going to keep changing, right? So we continue to integrate with what we believe are the major players that are going to be defining how people get around going forward, right? Talked about ride shares. If you're going to someplace unfamiliar and you're like me, you probably pull up Google Maps to see how you're going to get there and how long it's going to take. A little telegraph here. You're going to start seeing an option of what to do when you get there called, would you like to buy parking? That's us. That's running on our rails. Even Google and Apple and Waze don't want to be messing with making a parking marketplace. They just want to collect a fee. And so they've been working with us to pull all that stuff together because we have a pretty good platform to that respect. We're doing a lot of stuff with app clips. Again, it simplifies digital transactions. We're doing, we work on our own app. And we're even integrating into cars and in-dash navigation. I think this is Porsche, right? So if you're driving a Porsche around and you want to find parking that's nearby and you use in-dash navigation, that's just another node. It just happens to have wheels, right? That's connecting to our platform and looking at stuff on the net. So that's why this stuff is really powerful. Now, we continue to get better at this. We are not perfect, but we've got a lot of reps in at this point. So I think we're learning about how to do a platform strategy better and better, as time continues to go on. We've got a lot of good successes, but at the end of the day, hopefully this was mildly interesting about a different approach versus collections of point products and the types of things that real customers are doing to adapt to the changes in people, how they're getting around, okay, and anticipation of what future needs are going to be like with EV, okay? All right, that's all I've got. So now that it is stable, I'm not touching it. Thank you so much for having us. Really appreciate it.